I want the bets from Betting Weekly, because we win, that is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best, and we're successful. Come watch our show. Bet River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
A very good day to one and all. This is Betting Weekly Live, as you can see, with myself, Dan Roebuck, alongside me, Lewis Jones. We're going to be talking soccer over the course of the next half hour, 40 minutes or so. Obviously, big game in the Premier League, final game of the weekend, Leicester versus Newcastle. Also, fixtures in Serie A and LaLiga to cover. We will be rattling through one or two of the stats and the big bets as well when it comes to the basketball and the NCAA championship game. So that is to come. We need your input as per usual. So tell us what you're betting today. Be happy to run through your picks. Hopefully you can find some winners for us. And likewise, us for you. Don't forget, we can be followed on X and Instagram at Because We Win. And if you've not yet signed up to the newsletter, bettingweeklystudios.com, obviously you get one early week and you get one late week as well ahead of the weekend. Lewis is with me. Lewis, a very good day to you. How was your weekend? Are you still fading City? Are you still betting United not to score in the first half? Those were the two very early identified bets that you put a lot of the community onto, and they both copped at the weekend. How are you?
Yes, I'm okay. I'm a bit worse now you mentioned that, because I didn't back that, actually. So thanks for that. Hindsight, that would have been a fantastic double whammy to have a look at in that match. Man City, Man United. What an awful spectacle for the Premier League that was. It was not the best game I think we're going to see in the Premier League this season. Both teams just summed up their season, I thought. Really, it was just a bit of a nothing game. Man United actually came out of it with more positivity than Man City. I think that you could see what this Amorim team is trying to do now in terms of the build-up play and the way they're trying to overload Dorgu down the left-hand side. He created a couple of chances, actually. So he's probably a player to watch out for, I think, over the next few weeks, Dorgu, between now and the end of the season, because they did get him into some great positions. And Xerxes nearly scored from a cutback from him. So his assist price was probably something that's probably got a little bit of value over the next few weeks, I think, to keep an eye on. I'd be quite positive, actually, for Man United between now and the end of the season. It's just whether they can turn this decent build-up play into goals. We know the final third is where their problems lie, and Højlund again was anonymous yesterday. Xerxes missed a good opportunity. Manchester United, I'd be warmer than I anticipated to be. I think between now and the end of the season, especially with the Europa League, with a lot of motivation involved there. I think they're runners in that tournament. So Man City, really hoping they don't win the FA Cup, Dan, because I'm up to my ears with City in terms of how I've been hitting the lay button and betting against them in the outright market. So I could really do with them just capping a beautiful season for me in terms of making money out of them. That would just put the cherry on top. But every time I see their price, I just want to lay it. So I need to stop opening that market, I think, because it's just I continue to pile on to take on Man City, because I just think in a one-off game over 90 minutes, any of those three in that FA Cup can still beat them. So yeah, I need them to be eliminated from that competition, really, to just put me in to sum up to sort of put a cherry on top for the season for my Man City angles. But it was a good week, good weekend of action again. Apart from the Man United game, I was doing the Ipswich Wolves game, which was vaguely interesting for a time. Thought Ipswich were going to come out on top of that one, but again, just not enough quality, and these three promoted teams have just not been good enough this season, and Southampton have sacked the manager today, so they need to reset again, don't they?
They do indeed. Welcoming one and all. Disky Sat says welcome. Byron says worst weekend in months. Gladbach coach should be fired. Rick says that was a tough weekend. Morning all. A lot of people didn't have great weekends here. Ray says good afternoon, Dan and Lewis. Good afternoon, Ray. Duncan says good afternoon, one and all. Ian says come on, Lewis. We need a winner today. Tend to think that the Betting Weekly community might have had a bit of a shocker this weekend. Arcabral says morning, gents. Bidani says nice to see you again. Lewis. Paul says good morning, Dan and Lewis. Good morning, Paul. Janipi, hello. What else we got? Nish says hello, gents. Mate says good afternoon to one and all. A lot of people talking about the basketball. We'll get to that shortly. Janipi talking about Bologna, both teams to score in that one. Newcastle to easily beat Leicester, and Leganes draw no bet. Yeah, Joe says Bologna, Napoli, both teams to go over 210 is crazy. Interesting one, really big game in Italy, no doubt about that. And Byron says Newcastle worries me with injuries and maybe no Isak. We'll get to that one shortly. In terms of notable weekend winners and losers from our colleagues at Bet Rivers, some interesting ones here. $20,000 play on RZ on the Asian handicap. Giving away a quarter ball against finals, which is a loss, plus 110. A little bit of sort of XG darlings, RZ, aren't they? And Utrecht as well in the Eredivisie for that matter. $14,000 play on Houston against LAFC overs, which was a loss. $10,000 play on Atletico Madrid double chance against Sevilla, which was a winner. Get Lewis's thoughts on a couple of these in just a second. Parma double chance against Inter live, plus 155. That was a nice play. That was a winner, $8,000 against Inter, who dropped points in the race for the Scudetto. One or two injury issues ahead of their game against Bayern as well, and a couple of Premier League ones that I'll talk about with Lewis very briefly. Villa Forest over 2.5, which was a $9,000 play, but this is an interesting one given the fact that you were on the Ipswich Wolves game. We had a $5,000 play, Lewis. Wolves on the draw no bet line. Live at plus 260. I'm presuming that was when Ipswich were a goal to the good. Did you sense when they were leading that potentially they were vulnerable? It's an interesting $5,000 play, but I thought Ipswich might get over the line from there.
No, I didn't see that coming, to be honest. I thought Ipswich were comfortable. I mean, they shut up shop. They weren't looking for a second goal, but just without Cunha, I was expecting Wolves just to maybe lack. I think I actually mentioned in my commentary online that the Wolves were looking out of ideas actually without Cunha, and was it finally coming to bite them, his suspension? But these teams, all barring the bottom three, just seem to have that bit of quality that can get something out of nothing. I mean, Sarabia isn't even a starter for Wolves, but he's a very talented individual player, isn't he? And he came up with that sort of moment that got them back in the game. And then once you felt that the second was probably coming once they got the first, because Ipswich just the air came out of the balloon, so to speak, and then they just looked flat again. And Strand Larsen is on good form, isn't he? So yeah, he's done that better, an absolute touch there with that goal. So that's a fantastic in play bet that.
Just really quickly on this, Cunha's not played the last four. Wolves have got 10 points from it. I mean, does he come straight? Does he come straight in? Does he make them worse?
I don't know. I've been trying to make sense of that, really, because the underlying numbers actually without him have been actually quite poor, especially going forward for Wolves. But they've, you said, taken 10 points from 4 games. You've probably got to factor in the level of opposition as well. I think they played Southampton in that time. They played Ipswich. Yeah, so I do think if they were coming up against one of the teams in form at the top of the league without Cunha, I would be expecting them to probably drop their points per game average they've been showing. But manager's done a very good job, hasn't he, Pereira? He's got them organised, very set in their ways in terms of the defensive setup. João Gomez is a brilliant player in central midfield. He's surprisingly, they managed to tie him down to a 5-year deal, I think, without a release fee in there. So he's not going anywhere, I don't think, for a couple of seasons. And he's a player that could definitely play at the top level, I think, for one of the big teams. He was excellent on Saturday. He's a player that's going right to the top, I think. So yeah, and the thing is with this Cunha transfer, the reason he plays for Wolves and he has a chance at the top level is because he's got this sort of head loss streak in him. I think he's not one to trust when the chips are down, I think, Cunha. And I wouldn't be surprised that there's 60-70 million on his price tag. Do clubs really have that money to be taking a chance of a player like that isn't gonna, that maybe could upset the dressing room, could potentially get red cards when things are going against him? So it wouldn't surprise me if he stays at Wolves next season, to be honest, because that price tag is hefty, especially in this day and age where teams just can't drop 60-70 million anymore, just like they used to.
Notable live streams. If you've got a BetRivers account, BetRivers app, Leganes Osasuna, we'll talk about shortly, is going to be live. Elche against a Racing Club in the second tier in Spain. Likewise, Sporting against Braga in Portugal. Sporting can go back to the top if they win. Benfica thump Porto at the weekend. Dunkirk against Guingamp in Liga 1. Big game. It is fifth versus fourth. Dunkirk, of course, gave PSG a bit of a fright in the Coupe de France semi-final last midweek, but were beaten after going 2-0 up. And also Malmo Elfsborg in Sweden as well. I don't know if Stevie Wiss is with us, but if he is, he might pop a selection when it comes to the Swedish and the French games in the comments. Watch out for that one. Keep your thoughts coming in. I'll go back to what some of our commenters were saying with the Newcastle game in just a sec, but I just want to rattle through some of the basketball for you, because obviously we come to the NCAA championship game tonight. It's an 8:50 start Eastern. It's the Gators against the Cougars. Florida Gators beat the Auburn Tigers 79-73 in the semi, and the Cougars beat Duke 70-67. There were some significant wagers on the semi-finals, as you would imagine. $33,000 play on Duke -3, which is a loser. Also on the money line at -250, we had a $24,000 play on Duke as well. So BetRivers traders got that one spot on. But there were some winners for BetRivers bettors, thankfully. $20,000 play on Florida live on the money line against Auburn at plus 107 was a winner. And also Houston +5 on the handicap on the spreads at -110 against Duke as well, which is also a winner. When it comes to the game tonight, these are the latest prices. It is Florida against Houston, of course, on the money line. Florida -117, the favourites. Houston -105. The spread, as you can see, Houston get the start. It's just a point. And the over and under total that we've listed there is 140.5. Obviously, you can use the various sliders when it comes to spreads and overs and unders totals on the BetRivers website. And it's an interesting split in terms of where the money has gone here. 58% of the money, 60% of the tickets on Florida. On the spread, 62% of the money on Houston, 57% of the tickets on Florida. So a relatively even split here. Over and under, 55% of the money, 57% of the tickets on overs. And some big plays as well tonight. 10K play on Florida on the money line. $9,500 play on Houston +2. And a $5,000 play on under 141.5 points at -110. You can see obviously the line has moved a little bit, maybe because of that. And just one or two stats for you here. Florida have scored 77 or more points in 18 straight games, and each of Florida's last 8 NCAA tournament games have produced a total of over 145 points. So that better is going against the recent trends, and Florida have won the first half in 15 of their last 18 games against non-conference opponents. Couple of house specials for you as well we should run through if you're playing on the basketball. You fancy any of these? I note that we've got a couple of bettors. Paul saying, Dan, we need Florida -1. Florida and Houston both to score 30 points each in each half, +140. Houston and Florida both to score in the first minute of the game is +200, and Houston and Florida both to make one or more 3-pointers in the first 3 minutes of the game, +225. Did we get one or two picks when it comes to the basketball very early on in the comments? Forgive me, I'm just scrolling back a little bit here. Byron got a ticket on Florida +800 for an $8,000 payout, so I'm going to have to invest something in Houston. Hedging, Byron, as Mr. Nigel Silly will tell you, is for gardeners. Are you not just going to let it run? I mean, I'd always take something, I think, if I was looking for an 8,000. Would you always hedge it? I'd always hedge a little bit. Nigel's going to kill me. This might be my last show.
For that payout, I would definitely want to try and get my stake back at least, I think.
Yeah, at least. I'd take something back. There's no doubt about that. Byron says I'm a gardener here. Danielus, you can take Florida over 70.5 total points here. That's the play. Let's talk soccer, shall we? That's why we've got Lewis on today. Big game tonight. In fact, we're not going to talk. We're going to talk Leicester Newcastle in just a second. I just want to cover off, as we put the graphic up, thankfully, Lewis, just a quick chat on top 4, top 5 here, because it wasn't so long ago we were sat here thinking, do you know what? Bournemouth are a bit of a bet here. You know, they're absolutely flying. XG darlings, picking up points, even when they were, dropping points. They were playing well, but suddenly they're 66 for top 5 and 200 for top 4 here. It's been a remarkable turnaround, really, hasn't it? Because Nigel's talking about on the Premier League show, there's been a little bit of a rebase with the likes of Bournemouth and maybe Brighton as well recently, and Fulham to a lesser extent. And suddenly Villa, who were way out of it, have found a bit of form. But Newcastle, having not played yet, were probably big winners over the weekend, weren't they? City only drew, Forest got beat, Chelsea only drew, Villa did win, obviously, but Newcastle suddenly minus 167 for top 5. And top 5 probably enough for Champions League. It's 99.6% or something, isn't it? Top 5 Champions League. Any brief thoughts on race for top 4, 5?
Well, the top 5 all lost in the Premier League. So he didn't win, did they, in the Premier League this weekend? So it shows you funny results are going to be happening this season. I think with the motivation levels at the top of Liverpool, especially, and teams relegated down the bottom. So anything really could happen in this shake-up. I think it's going to be a very hard one to predict, and I do think the prices. Nothing really stood out to me there. I mean, it's sad to see Bournemouth drifting so massively at those prices, because they've been so good for so long this season, but they've just run out of steam a bit. Kluivert getting injured hasn't helped them either. I don't think he's a big player for them, and maybe the fact that Andoni Iraola was linked with Tottenham just put anything to do being linked with Tottenham has just put maybe the buffers on Bournemouth. Maybe that was this is the reason for why Bournemouth's form has dipped so much. But I think it's more to do with the fact of how they play. I think they've just run out of steam for the season. Incredible way of playing football, but it's taken its toll on a very sort of threadbare squad, I think. And it's a shame for them. But yeah, it's still quite open, I think. I mean, Villa are in absolutely top form at the moment, and if they get knocked out of the Champions League, which
you nearly said once they get knocked out of the Champions League.
Exactly, I know that's definitely coming from someone who's holding a PSG anti-post ticket, and it's going to make or break my anti-post season. Absolutely, but so
there could be a bit of value there, couldn't they? 4-1 top 5, there might be a little bit of value.
I think so. They're going to get sort of those last 4 games where they probably could have a clear run. Maybe they've got the FA Cup final to come as well if they get through that tie. But I wouldn't want to be taking them on at the moment. I thought in the first half against Forest, that's the best I've seen them play probably this season. Absolutely ran all over a team that have been stopping a lot of elite footballers this season, and Villa just carved them open at will in that first half. And got a little bit nervy towards the end of that periods against Forest, but I thought they saw the game out quite comfortably in the end. And they just look a very good team with an excellent manager who knows how to negotiate his way through these periods at the end of the season. So Villa maybe a little bit big in those markets, but it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be an interesting race,
and it's all we've got to really look forward to from a competitive point of view, really, in terms of outrights to the end of the season. But I think Villa are probably the ones to just keep an eye on that price, I think, because they're on a real good winning run, and there's still a little bit doubts about Man City and Chelsea, although with their fixtures, I think they're playing a lot of teams probably with nothing to play for. A lot of these teams are, so that could factor into your thinking as well. But Villa are the ones that are just sort of maybe creeping up on the rails and might be able to nick a top 4, top 5 spot, I think.
Yeah, they are 1 point behind City. They're in 6th, Villa. They've got City away, Newcastle at home, Fulham at home. Forest have only got Chelsea at home with the top 8 to play, but I think injuries are starting to kick in a little bit. Chelsea have still got to play Liverpool at home, Forest away, Newcastle away, Fulham away. Chelsea might be the fade. Villa fan says took 33-1 Villa top 4 a week ago. To be fair, Villa fan did tell us. Says it's been a good week for Villa. 2 wins against top 4 contenders when others lost. This is true. Shakespeare, I've not spoke to Shakespeare, I've not conversed with Shakespeare via YouTube messaging for a while. He says, it's not my bailiwick, but I like Houston to beat Florida tonight in the NCAA tournament. Thank you, Shakespeare. Don't know if you got any baseball plays for us coming up, Shakespeare. Let us know. Keep the comments coming in. I'll dip in and out of them whenever I get an opportunity to. Obviously, a lot of you talking about the Leicester Newcastle game, which is one of the reasons why we've got Lewis on the show today. And these are the prices for Leicester versus Newcastle. Where do we start here, Lewis? Leicester plus 700 to win at home. Newcastle plus 240. They were plus 200 when we talked about it on the Premier League show, but Leicester have drifted quite a bit here. Isak, is he a doubt? You'll have maybe a more up-to-date line than me. Is minus 110 anytime
Pictured in training,
Leicester.
I believe. Pictured in training, and
So,
a couple of the reporters from the up there in Newcastle have said they should be fine. I think was the exact quote that I read this morning. So I think if he's anywhere near sort of 80%, 85%, they've got to fry him out there for 60 minutes and hopefully get the job done, and then probably take him off late in the game. I think, I think if he's anywhere near fit, they've just got to roll him out. I think.
Well, Jack put up Isak to score at any time as a lean. Nigel's 2-unit play was Newcastle to win to 0. It was plus 160. It's now plus 170. Leicester, haven't scored in their last 7 Premier League games? Is that the stat? I mean, we all thought I thought Newcastle might be a favourite with Brentford, but they won that one. Brentford played all right. And then you think, the game after might be the one. But this is Leicester away, and Leicester are having a shocker. Pick the bones out of this one for us. What sort of plays are you looking at for us here, Lewis?
Yeah, well, this win to nil bet's an interesting one, because Leicester would become just the second team in top flight history to lose 8 games on the spin without scoring, which just sums up what a horrific job Ruud van Nistelrooy has done really this since he replaced Steve Cooper. It's gone from bad to worse. They've lost 15 of their last 17 games now in all competitions, and they're just breaking records all over the show. And they've not really been unlucky either. I mean, sometimes these defeats can be quite freakish, where sort of variance can go against the team. But in those 7 matches, underlying process as well, from an attacking point of view, is just an absolutely woeful. Created just 2.67 worth of expected goals in those 7 games. So they haven't been creating chances. They haven't been putting teams under pressure. And at Manchester City the other day, wow, 0.02 worth of XG over 90 minutes against a Man City team that isn't the force of old was an absolute just disgrace, really. And that's the lowest XG posted by any team this season. And just feel for the fans, really, of the club at the moment. It's a bit of a shambles. Completely the fault of the people in the boardroom, I think. Horrendous recruitment decisions this season based on the fact to hire Steve Cooper with the Nottingham Forest links anyway didn't go down well with the fan base, and then to sack him when they weren't even in the relegation zone now seems an incredibly foolish decision, really. And the fact they dropped 20 million this season on Oliver Skipp, which is their entire budget really has gone on Oliver Skipp, when you've already got a sideways passing merchant there in Harry Winks. I mean, an absolute scandalous decision to bring in another sideways passing merchant with all your budget for the season, really. And yeah, could get quite ugly tonight at the King Power. I think they're going to be protesting again, the Leicester fans, against I think it's the director of football, John Rudkin, has been overseeing all these decisions over the past few years. Started with sort of relegation from the Premier League, despite having the 7th biggest budget in the Premier League that season, when they had Maddison, Barnes, Tielemans, and Brendan Rodgers as their manager, and they somehow managed to fall out of this division, which is absolutely incredible when you've seen how badly the newly promoted teams have done in the 2 seasons subsequently. It's an absolutely unbelievable fall from Leicester. They managed to get relegated with the 7th biggest budget, and since then PSR issues have crept up. Horrendous recruitment, as I've said, allowed Tielemans to leave on a free transfer to run his contract down, and it's just a club which is in freefall, I think, at the moment. And the atmosphere there at King Power tonight is going to be awful, especially if they go behind early. And this is a really fantastic opportunity for Newcastle to really get 3 points, I think. And I can see why they're so popular across all the markets. And it'd be a huge surprise if Newcastle don't win this game, to me. But the price, I mean, that's telling the story, isn't it? Do we want to get involved at something that short? I've got a couple of different angles to attack that Newcastle pro Newcastle play with. I'm sure we'll get onto shortly. How did you see the game going down? Do you see one way?
It's weird, isn't it? Because I wanted to look for something different. Nigel put up, to 0 at plus 160, and I'm thinking to myself, it's now plus 117. I think is the latest price I saw, and I'm thinking that's still probably a smidge of value. It was about the same sort of price for the City game. Obviously, City were at home, but I think it's generally been considered that City have been a both teams to score yes side this season. They're a side that have conceded goals, whereas Newcastle, you would peg them as a better defensive side than Manchester City. I know it's away from home, but all the Leicester numbers are just so poor. The problem is, and someone said it on the Premier League comments, it's like you can just see one going off Jamie Vardy's backside and every 1-0 is just going to get done. Do you know what I mean? But I still think that a combination, I'm sort of half reluctant to do a handicap. I know we had 1 or 2 in the comments talking about sort of -1.5 with Newcastle. Eddie Howe, he can get teams in front and then shut up shop. He doesn't generally do it against the worst teams in the division, but he's done that previously, hasn't he? I'm always a little bit concerned unless they're a really good side, bang on form, to start giving away a big lead like that. But I've still sort of come down on sort of Newcastle to 0, I think, for me.
I think this is why you have to have a look at the props markets really and chase a bit of a bigger
fair.
price on a pro Newcastle. I think there's some outstanding value here on offer from Bet Rivers. Actually, they're offering best prices actually you can find anywhere in the bookmaking world, especially from the UK side on this game for Isak to score at minus 105, and also Jacob Murphy to register an assist at plus 380. Those two prices. Such big runners in this game, I think, where Newcastle are just expected to score around. Market has them in for sort of 2.5 goals anyway. I think they're definitely going to be knocking at the door to hit the 2 mark, maybe even the 3rd. And I think what is really sort of extra special, I'd say, about this opportunity with these 2 players here is we can combine them in a same game parlay function. So, and that brings out a plus 700 shot. So that's if Isak scores in the game and Murphy assists. And I think that this is the way to attack this pro Newcastle play here, rather than just settling for a really short price on them outright. Because I do think in these mismatches, I do think it pays to be greedy sometimes and be aggressive when there is, as I say, there's such a mismatch between the teams. And the reason this is incredible value for me, this backing both of these in the same game parlay, is both these bets are something which I like to find as mutually inclusive. So basically meaning that the 2 events are linked and they can occur simultaneously. So in other words, if Isak scores from a Murphy assist, the bet lands in one action. And I think that's a really interesting angle to exploit here. And that's the kind of tactic I seem to use here through these same game parlays, combining these sort of mutually inclusive scenarios, because they offer up so much value to punters. A great example of this is backing a player to score and to be carded as well, because they're all 2 bets which are linked, but not linked when the bookmakers' algorithms price it up. So, the players can score and then get booked for over-celebrating, can't they? And you can really get some massive prices. Vinicius Jr. is an absolute master at that, of scoring and also being carded, because the way that he not only plays the 90 minutes and he's always a runner to be carded, but he can go over the top of his celebration sometimes, whip his shirt off and bang, he's landed you a really big price for scoring and to be carded. So I just think the reason this plus 700 tonight for Isak and Murphy, Isak to score and Murphy to assist, just begging to be back, because Murphy has assisted Isak for 7 Premier League goals this season, and that's the most assist goal combo of any duo in the Premier League. And
lovely. That
set of data doesn't even include the Carabao Cup final, where Murphy set up Isak for his sort of momentous goal there that got them the second goal against Liverpool. And I just this pairing, they've got such great chemistry. I think are on the wavelength. They've even admitted it in sort of post-match interviews that they really love playing together, and Murphy's always looking for Isak. And I think that the reason it works, because Murphy is a very sort of selfless player, and then Isak is just as selfish as they come in front of goal, and it's that sort of opposites attract, which has resulted in this brilliant chemistry that they've got. And you've got other avenues that this bet can land as well with the same game parlay, because they could both do it singly as well. I mean, Murphy has grabbed 8 assists in his last 20 games now. So that price on its own is the plus 380 that you can get for an assist with Bet Rivers is a great bet on its own, because that's sort of working at a 40% strike rate at the moment for Murphy to assist in a game. And if you're going to use implied probability, that actually should come out at plus 150 or 6-4. So we're getting a real big slice of value, I think, just on the Murphy assist on its own. But when you throw Isak into the mix as well, I mean, 23 goals last 25 games. He scored 6 goals already against the bottom 3 this season. Hat-trick away at Ipswich, scored 2 away at Southampton. And I just think they're brilliant bets to have a go at here in this game, as singles, but also that same game parlay, to combine them for a plus 700, which is something which can land in one action, with Murphy assisting Isak in against a team who are on the floor and likely to concede over probably 2 goals in this game. I think that's a really good edge to exploit here, that plus 700, because I've looked across the industry over here in the UK, and the biggest price on both of them for the same game parlay is plus 500. So Bet Rivers are really sort of dangling a really nice carrot here to combine Isak to score and Murphy to assist in the same game parlay. I think that's the way to attack this game. I think you've got to be aggressive with the with the game so skewed in favour of Newcastle, I think, Dan.
Love that. No, absolutely. Love it. No, to be fair to Meninda, it says Isaka City by Murphy. Murphy is the highest goal combination in Premier League. I think, well, Lewis has just confirmed that for you, Meninda.
Yeah, 7 goals they've linked up for, So
it's just unbelievable.
Great wavelength. And I love taking advantage of little relationships between players, because football is a team game, and you need to be on the same wavelength as your teammates, and they've got a very good relationship, those two, on and off the pitch, I believe, as well. So they're always looking for each other. Murphy's a very creative player. Isak, very selfish. It just works as a partnership, I think, and you definitely got to concentrate all your bets, I think, tonight around those two.
Related contingencies, we used to call them years ago. They used to be banned.
Related contingencies, yes.
Yeah, they used to be banned. You couldn't have them. But obviously, same game parlays, bet builders, they're called some parts of the world. You're allowed them now. Sometimes the percentages dip an awful lot, but not for this one.
Not in this case,
Lewis,
absolutely not.
Yeah,
no.
as Lewis has just explained. Archibald says Leicester being horrible in defending set pieces. We're going to go with Shah with a shot on target, plus 180, or Burn for a shot on target, plus 310. What else have we got here on the comments? Joe Bama says, I'm really ashamed of myself. Didn't take the Tonali to score at plus 700. And of course he did. Was that the previous game? What else have we got
Yeah, he scored against Brentford, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Joe Bamba likes 2-0 correct score away from home at plus 600. Looks a solid play. And
this is the problem. If you are piling into Newcastle in terms of handicaps or win to nil, etc., the queue could go on the rack quite early here. They get 1-0, 2-0 up. They've got bigger fish to fry, Newcastle, still, and then they're going to rest players. They're just, as you say, Eddie Howe can be quite a pragmatic manager when he needs to be. So this is the problem with any handicap bets. Leicester are absolutely awful, and they could implode, but it's whether Newcastle want to put the foot down or not, I think.
Joseph, we talk about Murphy assisting to Isak, and in the end, Wilson is going to start instead of Isak. I mean, there's that slight doubt, but as Lewis pointed out right at the top of this particular section, he was filmed in training, so that's a fair shout. Is there anything else I've missed here? Joe Bama says Isak brace plus 450. If you fancy that, he's gunning for sort of top goal scorer, isn't he, in the Prem? But he's quite a little way off, I think, isn't he, tonight? What else have we got? Just going back over these, Byron, Newcastle top 4, 2 games in hand, including this one, I guess. I mean, Palace. Is it Palace away? The other one?
Because of the rearranged Carab because of the final. Yeah.
What else have we got here? I think I'm going back all the way right to the top. Let's move on. That's anything else? Anything else on that game, Lewis? Or are we done? I'm just going to be concentrating on
Isak and Murphy, and that combination is it's landed 7 times already. So why not again?
Yeah. It's one of those things. Look, you can play him in. You can play Isak to score. You can play, the double. You can. I think those are the 2 players. Play the same game parlay as well. Have a little bit on that. Split your stakes. Just have Isak to score on his own, and just have Murphy to assist on his own. But you've got to combine them just in case. And I say just in case. It's happened. It's happened a fair amount. That is Leicester against Newcastle. We've got a couple of other games we're going to talk about. First of all, Bologna against Napoli here. This is a real difficult one, as the prices were suggested. Just look at this. Bologna plus 188, Napoli plus 170, the tie plus 188. I mean, this is 5th versus 2nd. Bologna can go 4th if they avoid defeat. Napoli can move to within a point of leaders Inter if they win. The one thing I have pulled out about this, I mean, I've got a bet for it. The weird thing is Bologna have been flying at the minute, but it's who they've been beating that he would not say is great. They've won their last 6, including against Empoli in the Coppa semi-final first leg. Their record against top 4 isn't great. They haven't beaten a team currently in the top 4 so far this season. 3 draws, 1 defeat. Napoli won the reverse fixture. Only 1 defeat against top 5 teams this season. I just think this is prime for a draw, but it's sort of priced accordingly. I look at Bologna and I look at where they are in the form tables, and they're just behind Roma in like top 6, top 8, top 10. Sorry, 10 match, 12 match, 8 match form tables. So they're absolutely flying, but they've not really been playing the sort of the really, really big teams recently. They have still got to play Inter at home, Atalanta away from home next. They've got to play Juve, Milan, and Fiorentina. And Napoli, I sense here, will be happy with the draw. I'm not going to bet them for a draw because it's a bit too short. But after this, 7 games left, 6 of those 7 against teams of the bottom half, including 5 of the last 6. I think that Conte will be happy to get out there with a draw would be my thoughts on the money line. I've got to play on one of the other markets, but money line, or what else? What do you think about the game in general? Have you got a play for us in this one, Lewis?
I have. It's not in the outright. I mean, that draw price is incredible, really, isn't it?
It's really short, isn't it? Yeah.
So I've not seen a draw price that short for a long time in a match. It shows you how closely matched these two probably are. The form book suggests that Bologna have got a good chance here, but as you say, they've had an easy run, so that maybe it's not all what it seems. And Napoli, not really a team that I like to back, really. They always seem to make hard work of everything they do.
They've been struggling recently, haven't they? Since the turn of the year, they've thrown away points. They've been struggling. Yeah,
I think they've only won 2 of their last 8, and those 2 wins were against Fiorentina and Milan, but that was just by sort of 1 goal. And very fortunate to beat Milan, actually, based on the underlying numbers. I didn't see the game, but just looking at the numbers, they lost the expected goals battle 0.75 to 2.7, so almost by 2 goals. So that would worry me that whether they are really a team that can really sustain this challenge towards Inter. And I do think they have to keep winning, don't they? I mean, if they want to go and catch Inter, they have to keep winning. So they really have to go all out tonight. But is that the Antonio Conte way? Not sure he's really got that in his locker. He's very astute manager, but he isn't one to really go and take risks in games when he doesn't need to. So I won't be going anywhere near the outright here against especially a team going to be quite confident in Bologna, aren't they? But I've got a bet. It comes in the props market, and it's Scott McTominay for Napoli, player I've watched a lot for Manchester United over the years, to have a shot on target at plus 115. I think that's a really big price. Sort of another bit of evidence to suggest how bad the recruitment team have been at Manchester United in terms of allowing him to leave. I think I know we've got so many examples, haven't we, this season about players that leave Manchester United and then go and flourish elsewhere. Elanga, Anthony at Betis, you got Rashford at Man United. yeah. Sancho's done all right, hasn't he, at Chelsea? So, and I think McTominay would have fitted in okay to this Amorim team. To be honest, he's obviously not technically gifted as maybe some of the players like Garnacho, but if you play him over 20 games, I think he'd score more goals and cause more problems in that role than what Garnacho does in terms of getting in the box and even using him as a centre forward. Perhaps I've always thought he would be capable of playing that role. So he's very sort of naturally got good instincts in the box, and he holds the ball well. He makes great runs, and he's been used like that by Conte since going to Napoli. Sort of using him as this box crashing midfielder, causing lots of problems with runs into the box from midfield, and that's how you get the best out of Scott McTominay. Done it for Scotland as well, and was one of the reasons why they went on that mad run in the qualification for the Euros, when he was scoring every week against the likes of Spain and things for Scotland, playing in this role. And he's been utilised perfectly, I think, by Conte. And he's had a shot on target in 9 of his last 11 starts, which really stood out to me, considering we can get the prices that are on offer are bigger than evens. And he's had 13 shots on target in total in that time. He's going to be quite fresh, I think, as well. He missed the last game through illness, but he's been back in training, so he's likely to start and regain his place, because he's been undroppable really for Conte since he's come in. A really big player for them, and I just think he averages more shots per game than the likes of Lukaku and Politano. So 2.6 shots per game he's averaging from midfield, and that just suggests to me that Napoli have got this way of playing where they're trying to get McTominay into these situations, and it's a very sort of well-worked strategic play that they're trying to get McTominay into these dangerous situations in the box. And I think when you've got a player at odds against here to have a shot on target with his record, I think you've got to snap it up. So I'm very happy here to row in with McTominay to have another shot on target tonight.
I like that one. Yeah, back in the squad after illness. He'll definitely start, you would have thought. Joe says both teams to score. Bologna, best team in the league as of now. Maybe. I mean, the form has been good. Bologna draw, says JC. Bologna double chance, says mate. Joe Bamba, Bologna beat Lazio 5-0. Lazio just beat Atalanta 1-0. I mean, that says it all, if only it was that simple. What else have we got here? Mate says, I don't see Bologna losing the game fair. Villa-san talking about on the 2.5 goal matches. Yeah, there's been a few recent. I was just looking at the trends. Villa, no real sort of real idea about why we've had a few more unders, haven't we, recently? I'll tell you what's going to be interesting. I don't want to delve into this too much, but Lewis, isn't it this weekend coming in the Premier League we get semi-automatic offsides? Is that right?
Checks the date. Yeah, I think it is. I think it's the 12th or 13th, isn't it? Yeah, I'm sure it is. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that's
going to be interesting. I don't know what it's going to affect, but if things from
a betting point of view, not sure.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things that if offside calls are done much quicker, you're saving minutes. Games are going to be shorter. Shorter games means fewer goals, maybe. But to
be honest, the stoppage time has been cold a lot this season. Anyway, some games it has been, but there's been plenty of occasions, even over the weekend, where it's gone back to the staple number of 4 minutes added on when there's been 6 substitutions. It has. I have noticed that this season that the stoppage time has changed again, and the whole timekeeping situation in football is just so archaic, and it just annoys me. So this is, I won't go into my rant about it, but it is just we need to change the timekeeping situation in football, because it's open to so much sort of subjectivity and just nonsense, really.
I'd have the stop clock. I'd have the stop clock all day long.
I'd make games. I'd actually make games like 60 minutes long and stop the clock.
60 minutes, but bang it, stop the clock. Brilliant. I'd have that. No. Anyway, that's a debate for another day. Joe says, I'm going to take both teams to score over. Sprinkle correct score 1-1 just in case. Byron says 1-1 makes sense to me. And also talking about a Portuguese game tonight as well. Steve's with us. Steve says, Swedish game is difficult. Lean of under 2.5 on the Malmo-Elfsborg game. I think it'll be 1-0 or 2-0. What else have we got here? Orsolini, love Orsolini, flying lately. 300 anytime goal scorer for Janipi. Had 1 or 2 injury issues, but brilliant for them last season when they made the Champions League. Mate says, he's talking about the Segunda Elche to win to 0. And Jake says, hey, odds on always, it's the road to the poorhouse, but Newcastle really should win. Just on that, the Italian game tonight, James has got same game parlay on the European show. If you want to have a look at that, go back to the European show. It's still up on YouTube, obviously. He's got same game parlay on it. What I worked out was that Napoli had scored in the first half in 10 of 15 away this season, and they are plus 135 to score in the first half. They've been fast started. They've scored away at Inter, at Roma, at Atalanta, Lazio and Fiorentina, so big teams. Bologna have only conceded in the first half at home on 6 occasions, but if you wrap up those averages, you're looking around about 53% probability, which is minus money, and at plus 135, I think you can have a bit of fun with Napoli to score in the first half. That would be my play for this one. In terms of where the money's been going on the money line, 89% of the money, 89% of the tickets on Napoli. On the overs and unders, most of the money's coming overs, 90% of the cash, and we've had a $1,000 play on over 2 on the Asian total, which is minus 110. That is Bologna versus Napoli. Those are the prices for you once again. Orsolini, just thought I'd take a quick look at that one, plus 320. LaLiga, I think, is going to be back in the starting lineup, plus 325. Lewis Ferguson, now fully fit, of course, plus 370. Some really good players there. And David Neres, I think, will start plus 370. He, like McTominay, did not start in the previous game. Leganes Osasuna, to wrap things up for us from a soccer point of view. What have you got for us here, YouTubers? This is a big game at the bottom. It is tight in terms of the prices. Leganes are favourites at plus 163. Osasuna plus 195. The tie plus 190. Leganes are 18th. Osasuna are 14th. There's 7 points between the two. Leganes are minus 182 to go down. Osasuna probably won't. They're 25 to 1 to go down. But if they lose, they could get dragged into it. Obviously, the difference in terms of points accrued will be down to 4. And in terms of the battle to stay up, the 2 teams below Leganes this weekend, Las Palmas and Valladolid, both lost. The 3 teams above them, Alaves, Espanyol and Valencia, all won. Of course, the latter, that spectacular game against Real Madrid, or at least spectacular scoreline. Both are in pretty poor form. The moment Leganes have lost their last 3 and 7 of their last 9. Osasuna without a win in 8 in all competitions and only 1 away win in La Liga this term. That was at Real Sociedad back in October. And they have drawn 13 of their 29 La Liga games this season. Only 2 teams, Lewis, here's a quiz for you quickly, if you can get it. Only 2 teams in the big 5 leagues have drawn more games than Osasuna. 1 in England, 1 in Italy.
Top flight,
Draws,
you say?
Top flight.
Draws. Brighton?
No. Do play in blue, though.
Everton?
Correct. And in Italy?
There he goes. No idea.
Juventus. So
of course, I saw that. Yeah. I mean, of course, Juventus, Lewis.
Both have drawn 14. The goal line is low in this one, as you can see when I get the prices back up for you. There we go. Again, it's another over and under minus 1.5. The Asian line is -108 over, -117 under. Leganes have failed to score 6 times at home. Only Valladolid have failed to score more. Osasuna failed to score 8 times away. It's the joint worst record, so there'll be a lot of players at sort of unders, I would have thought here. Leganes, though, have scored in their last 4, been a little bit better in terms of scoring goals, and at least twice in 3 of their last 4 at home. So I'm going to put up a player for you here, Dan Roebuck of Leganes, who's got 5 goals in his last 6 appearances. He's replaced Mikel in the starting lineup over the course of the season. He's also on penalty-taking duties, and he's 3 from 3 from the spot. Shot on target in 5 of his last 8 games. He's +118 to have 1 or more shots on target. He's played centre-forward last couple of games as well. He's generally been a winger this season. He's left-footed, but he plays on the right. He's shot on target, so 1 every 180 minutes. That's his average. So 50% in a 90-minute match, which is evens. So if you get him +118, slightly better, represents a little bit of value. And he's playing further forward. If you just want the shots, -141 over 1.5 shots, and anytime goal scorer, he is +330. I'm just going to play him to have 1 shot or more. That is Danny Roebuck of Leganes. In terms of the money line, 61% the money on the home team, but 58% the tickets on Osasuna. Over and under, most of the money is on under, but 74% the tickets on over. $1,000 play on the over, 2 Asian total at -125, and a near $1,000 play on Osasuna under 6.5 total corners at a very short price, -435. What are we saying here? Byron says, would love to take both teams to score here, but Osasuna has gone on a goal Ramadan. Can't see him pull the trigger. Genevieve says Juventus, asking the replying to the quiz question, correct. And Genevieve, yeah, king of the draws under Motta, certainly very early on in his career. Whenever he pops up as a manager again, Genevieve, and anyone who's listening, you know that they're going to draw an awful lot of games straight away, because it's just the way he plays. I think he'll end up at a good team again. We are just going to get some very, very quick thoughts from Lewis. Going to have to be quick as well. On the Champions League and PSG. But I have to remind you that we have got a brand new live show coming up at 1 p.m. Eastern today. So in just over an hour's time, it's the first edition of Betting Weekly Tennis Live. Mitch Michaels is your host. He's going to be alongside Nigel Seeley. European clay season getting underway, of course, at Monte Carlo. And amongst other things, the boys are going to be looking at a live look-in, so live bets as the action goes on. Make sure you stay with us for that. We'll be back live in just over an hour's time.
Right, we seem to have lost Dan Roebuck. I can't see him. So maybe we should wrap that up here, guys. Just to remind you, my best bets for the evening, Newcastle versus Leicester. Got to play the same game parlay of Jacob Murphy to assist and Alexander Isak to score. Comes out +700 with Bet Rivers. So we've got to have a little play on that, I think. And also Scott McTominay to have a shot on target. In the Napoli Bologna game, really good piece of value there. So I think that's Dan Roebuck's lost connection, and I've stepped into the host with the mostest. But and on that note, I think that's all from us. So good luck with your bets.